Super Draco here, and welcome to Why, the show where I don't always have an answer to that question. Today we're building a Hexbug in Vex Robotics Build Your Own Endgame. Now, long story short, these were on sale, and I said, why not? Because A, I needed content, but B, because the Battlebots tournament is airing, and in fact, when I'm doing the audio for this, it's actually 3:17, so I just got done watching the first episode of this week's tournament, in which Endgame here faced, well, I guess this should get a spoiler warning, but Endgame ended up facing Scorpios and utterly decimating them. I love Battlebots. This goes all the way back a long way for me because I actually remember when Battlebots first went on TV, it was on Comedy Central. Why? I'm not entirely certain. But anyway, and I was an instant fan because the first match I saw was it was Nightmare, and I forget who he was fighting. The robot looked like a pyramid, and Nightmare just launched this 250-pound robot in the air. But anyhow, and I was a fan of it ever since, and my wife can account for this because when the ABC brought it back, I was excited like a child and ended up getting her into it as well. And here we are in 2022, even though this is the 2021 tournament. So anyhow, I actually built the Tombstone and Minotaur of these because I received one of them as a Christmas present, and I just said, why not, and got the Minotaur because I already had Tombstone that I had gotten as a gift. These are interesting, but I will say a complaint, my fingers were incredibly sore after building this. The last time my hands were in this much pain was when I built a Kotobukiya Zoid, HMM Zoid kit. But anyhow, so coming into this tournament, and I'm probably just going to ramble for a while. I'm trying to do something different for this video, so it's not just me building something to music. I figure let's talk for a while. So yeah, this tournament, from the initial brackets, this is a tough tournament to gauge who can win. Because in the upper bracket, you have Endgame, Minotaur, Copperhead, and Witch Doctor. And all of them are very similar vertical spinners. And the second, in the top blue bracket, you got Ribot, Hydra, Defender, Black Dragon, Valkyrie, Tombstone, and Jackpot. So there's a lot of big names in that one that could go any direction. In the second blue bracket, you have Sawblaze, Hijinks, Hypershock, Uppercut, Huge, Shatter, and Riptide, and as well as the rest of the block. And then in the final red block, you have Whiplash, Ice Wave, Cobalt, Yeti, Rotator, Shredderator. Wait, how did Shredderator make the tournament? Tantrum and Gigabyte. So you've got a lot of heavy hitters in each block, and that's a tough one. Now in the current episode, Endgame defeated Scorpios to advance to the quarterfinals. The quarterfinals. Minotaur defeated Bloodsport, so then it's going to be Minotaur versus Endgame, and I really don't know where that fight's going to go, because it's all going to hinge on how well Minotaur is working. And if he's holding up like he's been, Endgame may have difficulty dealing with Minotaur as opposed to others. But then again, Endgame, their ground game's been on point, so maybe not. That's a tough one. And then the second, and Copperhead defeated Lucky, and Glitch did not compete. Spoiler warning again. Glitch had mechanical problems and couldn't get in, so he was replaced by Mammoth. And Witch Doctor defeated Mammoth because Mammoth, against highly mobile robots, Mammoth, its oversized design just works against it. So, you know, Copperhead versus Witch Doctor is an interesting fight because on paper it's hard to say who has the better advantage, because Copperhead seems to have a much more reliable robot this season, but they've had reliability issues in the past. Witch Doctor's also had reliability issues. But then again, looking at the strength of schedule, Witch Doctor had a nice, easy meander to the tournament through the qualifiers versus a lot of the others. So, you know, that fight could go either way. And then in the blue bracket, Sawblaze utterly decimated Hijinks. In a stunning upset, P1 defeated Hypershock. So in Sawblaze versus P1, I've got to give that to Sawblaze. His dustpan and his hammer saw just seemed to give him a blatant advantage over P1 and his hinged lifter. And plus, Sawblaze is the king of the ground game. See, and then in the other fights, Uppercut versus Huge wasn't aired, so I imagine that's going on their YouTube channel. But it ended in a double knockout, and the judges gave it to Uppercut, which is probably the right decision, because after in the recap they showed, Huge just never really got in it after that initial big hit that affected both of them. And then in Shatter versus Riptide, Riptide defeated Shatter. So Uppercut versus Riptide, I gotta give advantage to Uppercut, because Uppercut's just that devastating. So then in the other two brackets, first up you have a last minute qualifier, Hydra versus Defender, and I think the judge or the selection committee or judges, whoever designates the fight cards, gave Hydra an easy opponent because they were the #1 seed last year, and they can't. And I think they're just giving them an easy way into the tournament because, well, I mean, the guy that runs Hydra is just, he's so easy to dislike. And although, if I'm honest, I have a historic dislike for the Waiachi teams because of years and years ago where they abused a rule. I mean, after that tournament was over, because basically the original Waiachi was a super heavyweight, and then Son of Waiachi was a heavyweight. Except in the old Comedy Central days, there was walking robots got a bonus weight allowance, and Son of Waiachi took advantage of that. Except it wasn't a walking robot; it was a shuffling robot. And after that season, they fixed the rules because I believe that was the year Sonoachi won the Golden Nut after defeating, I believe it was Biohazard. But that always left a bad taste in my mouth because it wasn't a walking robot. But it still got the weight allowance because it was like 330 pounds. But anyhow, then the next one is Mad Catter versus Black Dragon. That fight I don't know if I'll be able to put a good prediction on. Because Black Dragon, Mad Catter with the, Mad Catter has been getting better and better and better, and Black Dragon is performing about as well as expected, other than when Uppercut blew up their flamethrower tank. I think that, or did that happen last year? No, I think that happened this year. Anyhow, I'm having a hard time, but I'm gonna lean on Black Dragon. But then going back, because then I thought about it, Ribot versus Hydra would be my prediction for after Hydra qualifies for the tournament. That's a tough one. That's another tough one because Ribot's been on a tear. Because Hydra's problem is that it might be the strongest flipper or one of the strongest flippers of all time, but it's a glass cannon. It really cannot take many, if any, real serious impacts. So if Ribot brings their undercutter, they very well could tear Hydra apart and just run through to the next match. See, and then after that's Blip versus Valkyrie, and that's another interesting matchup because Blip, using that what is it? That torsion-powered flipper. It's actually been working surprisingly well, but Valkyrie is consistently destructive and pretty consistently free of mechanical issues. So that's another tough one, but in this case, I'm just going to root for the underdog because Blip, the little eyes painted on it make me laugh, so that's enough for me want to see more of it. That's probably the dumbest reason I could have for wanting Blip to do well, but regardless. And then you have Jackpot versus Tombstone. This new version of Tombstone, it's doing better than the last Tombstone did in the last tournament, but I don't think they have the bugs out, so I'm willing to actually give the upset to Jackpot. Whiplash versus Ice Wave. Another interesting match, and it all hinges on how well Ice Wave is working. Because if Ice Wave is back to full functionality, I would say Whiplash with those big exposed tires and the lifting arm probably are a severe disadvantage, but with all the mechanical problems that Ice Wave had in the qualifier, it's tough for me to just give the win just to Ice Wave and disregard Whiplash. But it'll also depend on the driver of Whiplash. Because that young guy that drives a Whiplash is probably, I think he might be the single best driver in Battlebots at the moment. And the problem is he knows he's the single best driver in Battlebots and has been told so for way too long, and you can see where his ego gets the better of him. Because in my opinion, he had last tournament, he could have won, but his own ego is what led him going into not taking Endgame as seriously as they should have. But, and I'm going to sound old when I say this, but to be young. So then the next match would be Cobalt versus Yeti, and this is a tough one because I like both of these robots. So it's going to come down to who wins the low ground game. And in Yeti's case, I think he has low ground won easily. However, the guy that drives Yeti also doesn't always adhere to the ground game. He's more than happy to drive other robots so his drone can hit on top of them. Which in Cobalt's case, that would put them in his wheelhouse because their top-mounted spinner is very deadly. Because I believe Cobalt's British counterpart won, what was it, Series 9 or Series 10 of Robot Wars? So that's a tough one, but I lean on Cobalt winning it. Rotator versus Shredderator. Rotator. Shredderator just has a history of mechanical problems and failures, and I just can't see Shredderator advancing this far, even though Shredderator this year has worked a lot better than he has in the recent years. And final match is Tantrum versus Gigabyte. And that's another tough one, but I'm going to give it to Tantrum because his wedged front... Wait, does Tantrum have a wedge? Yeah, he does, because he has the punching spinner on top. But yeah, his design, I think, even if his puncher gets broken, he can still wedge Gigabyte and have an advantage over the full body spinner. Now, you know, thinking about this tournament as a whole, I have two picks for, well, my two picks, if I had to pick any two robots, would have been Endgame and Sawblaze, but the way this tournament is set up, you can't pick those for the finals. So, on my end for the finals, just looking at the field and everything I can remember off the top of my head, I'm going to put the finals being Endgame. Actually, you could actually make the case that we might have a repeat of the last tournament. It'll be Endgame and Whiplash. But even if Whiplash advances, they've got a series of strong opponents. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think the finals are going to be Endgame and Ribot. But anyhow, beyond that, let me, while this video is going, I'm going to pull up my subscriber lists because we've got some new subscribers. So let's see, we've got Afan Diyaoyao or Yayu. I apologize, I probably butchered that pronunciation. And I think that's the only other publicly named subscriber I've gotten on this channel. Let's refresh and double check. So channel's been growing quite a bit, and you know, that's been quite good because, you know, since we're just chatting as I'm building Endgame in the background, you know, I figure I'll tell you kind of what the future for this channel is in an ideal scenario, With continuing content, within the next year I'd hit the 1,000 subs and the 4,000 watch hours to qualify for monetization. Now, monetization is not the point of this channel. It'd be a benefit or a welcome addition, but it's not the goal of this channel. So, at no point in any point am I going to, even if I reach monetization, I'm still going to produce the same content. I'm still going to produce it basically in the same manner, and I'm never going to gate any of my normal stuff behind any kind of paywalls or anything. However, if I do hit monetization, that means that this channel is only going to continue to improve. Because then I'm subsidizing my hobby with the ad revenue from this channel. Now, having said that, if anyone who watches this channel is interested in it, somebody suggested to me trying Patreon or PayPal or something, but I don't think this channel is big enough for that. Now, if anyone's interested in that, leave me a comment, or you can send me an email, because I have an email address. It's super, in all caps, Draco30 at outlook.com. So beyond that, there's one other thing I figure we'll talk about. Now I gotta double check, because I'm getting mixed numbers, because I had one thing saying I had 30 subscribers and another thing saying I have 29, so I may have lost one, and that's okay. But when we hit our first milestone of subscribers, I'm going to do a contest. Well, I shouldn't say a contest, I'm going to do a giveaway. And going forward, I'm going to call the giveaway something silly. I'm going to call them Raiding the Dragon's Den or something. Because since I'm Super Draco, once we hit a milestone, we're going to let you have some of the rewards from the Dragon's Cave. Man, that sounded way nerdier than I thought it would. So, I'm thinking at 100 subs or 50 subs. I haven't decided yet. It'll depend on how I feel when I hit 50. At 50 subs, I'm going to do my first giveaway. So the rules, the prize, all of that, I will have determined by then. It could happen sooner, it could happen later, I don't know. Honestly, I'd be surprised if anyone's even watching this video at this point, because this is probably going to be the longest video I upload for quite a while, but I want to see if a longer format build does better than a shorter format. And plus, I don't want to, I'm not going to use the vernacular that came in my head, but I don't want to burn through a good opportunity when I can just post the next episode of this next week after I watch the next episode, and we can discuss what happened next week and see how many of my predictions came true. It's actually not a bad idea. I might go ahead and I might put my predictions up on the screen. I'm not going to do them for this video, but for the next part I'm going to put up how many of my predictions were right, how many were wrong, and we'll see how much of this I actually got right going forward. Now, beyond that, I say this a lot, and after saying it too many times, it does start to sound rather robotic, but with all the genuine appreciation I can to all the subscribers, all the viewers coming here from the shorts feed, thank you for watching my content. You know, even if I never hit monetization, I'm probably gonna keep this up because I enjoy models and building things, and at this point, building them is starting to become second nature. Like I said, if I hit monetization, all that money, and I say that hilariously, but at my current numbers, I would get like $300 a year at the most. But any money I would make from this would go into buying more stuff for content, upgrading my camera setup, and overall just improving it. Now, having said all that, you know, I don't get a lot of comments, and that's okay, you know, because I just appreciate everybody coming here to watch. But that said, if there's things you want me to take a look at, things you want me to build, things you want me to do a rambling commentary over as I build this in the background, you know, go ahead and just let me know. Feel free to email me, or just leave comments, you know. But other than that, at this point, my voice is getting a little hoarse, so I think we're gonna go out on, I don't know what music I'm even gonna play here, but I'll fill it with something. So, you know, I've talked for more than half of this, and so I'm impressed that I haven't rambled too much. Or maybe I've rambled a lot, I don't know, until I listen back to this. But either way, from the bottom of my very small and kind of black heart, thanks for watching. Thanks for coming on the journeys, building things with me. Coming up the pipeline, we have I've got some Ecto 1 videos that I'm going to mix in with the rest of the Bismarck videos. This one I actually recorded after most of the Bismarck videos, but I just figured with the Battlebots tournament starting that jumping in with this was it seemed apropos. But anyhow, I'm going to take off. You guys enjoy the music, and I hope to see you back on my channel.